The film begins with a gravely injured woman named Carol Danvers, also known as Ver, with blue blood running from her nose. She sees an older woman pointing a gun at someone. Before she can understand anything, a figure emerges from the smoke and points a gun at the woman. Suddenly, she wakes up, realizing it was just a dream. She gets up and looks out the window at the city of Hala, the capital of the Kree civilization, somewhere in this endless universe in the year 1995. She then goes to her mentor, Yanrog, to ask him to train with her because she can't sleep. While he hones her fighting skills, he asks if there's anything new in her dreams, indicating that she has had these dreams before. Frustrated at losing the fight, she threatens him with a photon blast from her fist. He warns her to control it, or she will have to communicate with the Supreme Intelligence, as nothing is more dangerous for a warrior than emotion. They continue their fight, but eventually, she hits him with a blast, leading them to go to the Supreme Intelligence, the artificial intelligence that governs the Kree Empire. On the way, Ver asks him what the Supreme Intelligence looks like, and he explains that the subconscious chooses the form it appears to them. Yanrog reminds her that he is teaching her to control her powers, but to control them, she must control her impulses first. In her meeting, the Supreme Intelligence takes the form of the elderly woman from her recurring dreams. It tells her that despite Yanrog's belief that she is ready, it does not think so. It reminds her that she is another victim of the Skrull expansion, which has threatened their civilization for centuries. Their longtime enemy, the Skrulls, occupy different worlds one by one and can take any form. They are a threat to Hala, so they must be destroyed. The intelligence allows Ver to join the Starforce on a mission. Later, Ver is already with the team, which consists of Minerva, Korath, Bronchar, and Atlas. Yanrog gives the Starforce a briefing on a search and rescue mission for a secret operative named Solar. He informs the team that the Skrulls have captured the planet Torfa. The ships warp through space and arrive at their destination, the planet Torfa. Yanrog instructs the team to conduct an incursion, and when they reach the planet's surface, Ver and the rest of the Starforce move underwater, using their suits to reach the surface. However, upon positioning themselves, they realize the natives of Torfa are Skrulls, and the mission was an ambush. Skrull Commander Talos, disguised as Solar, kidnaps Ver and takes her to a Skrull spaceship while the rest of the Starforce retreats. On the Skrull spaceship, Talos subjects her to a memory probe, giving him access to her memories from different moments in her life. So far, they have only obtained the location of C-53, also known as Earth, which is their next destination. She then awakens just as Talos unlocks her memories, revealing that he wants information from her about a lightspeed engine. She soon weakens the restraints holding her and frees herself. After fighting the Skrulls present in the room, she runs down the corridor of the ship. Suddenly, she finds herself surrounded, but using everything she has learned in combat, she defeats her opponents. However, more of them arrive, so her only choice is to use her powers. She shoots energy blasts from her hands to fend off her opponents, but this causes a hole in the ship. Ver manages to escape the vacuum of space and quickly heads to the escape pod and departs, but is hit by shots fired by Talos. She then leaves with the damaged pod and, after entering the planet's atmosphere, eventually loses the entire pod and crashes through the roof of a record store on Earth. She tries to contact the Starforce command, but her communications are inactive. Seeing a security guard, she asks him where she can find communication equipment, and he points to a nearby Radio Shack store. The next day, Talos and the Skrulls take on the identities of surfers on a Los Angeles beach. Meanwhile, Ver modifies a payphone to communicate with the Starforce command. After a brief conversation with Yanrog, she discovers that she will be stuck on Earth for the next 22 hours. She also attracts the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D. after the security guard reports her. Nick Fury and Phil arrive to interrogate her, not believing anything she says about her Kree authority or her claims that the Skrulls have come to Earth. They are interrupted by one of the Skrulls, disguised as a surfer, who shoots at them. Ver protects Nick by pushing him into the phone booth. She chases the Skrull into a subway station and bumps into an older woman getting off. She manages to board the train and then scans the passengers for someone suspicious. She already knows the Skrull has changed its appearance and encounters the older woman from before, realizing it is a Skrull. She punches it, shocking everyone in the car. They fight while the passengers try to stop her, and the Skrull escapes. She retrieves a crystal containing her extracted memories. However, the Skrull evades her and escapes into a crowd at a train station. Meanwhile, Nick and Phil chase Ver in their vehicle. Nick receives a call from the Real Phil, saying he is still at the Blockbuster. Nick then realizes the Phil sitting in the passenger seat next to him is a Skrull imposter. The imposter tries to shoot him with a gun, but Nick grabs it and kills him by crashing his car into an oncoming bus. He wakes up from the crash with only minor injuries around his eye and sees the imposter's body, now revealing a green alien. He covers it up before calling for reinforcements. Later, Vera inserts the crystal containing her extracted memories into her communication device. She sees a familiar-looking woman and the name of the bar they frequented. She finds a map and locates the bar's location. She dresses in civilian clothes she stole from a store display, as her Starforce uniform was attracting unwanted attention. Besides the clothes, she also takes a motorcycle and rides it to the bar she saw in her memories, discovering it is in a nearby town. Subsequently, Nick takes the Skrull's body to a lab, and the examiner performs an autopsy. He tells Nick that the body's chemical composition is unlike anything found on Earth. His boss, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Keller, orders Nick to work with Vera, keep in contact with her, and eventually bring her into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. He also orders him to do it alone, as they can no longer trust anyone, considering the Skrulls may have infiltrated them. As Nick leaves, Keller laments the loss of the Skrull, revealing himself to be Talos in disguise. Later that day, Vera arrives at Pancho's bar, recalling memories of her and the familiar woman having fun there. She sees a photo of a fighter pilot with the Project Pegasus logo and asks the bartender if he knows where that place is. Nick appears, saying the information is confidential. The two question each other to ensure they are not Skrull imposters. She proves it by firing a photon blast from her fist. She then asks him to take her to Project Pegasus. On the way there, she tells him that the Skrulls are looking for Dr. Wendy Lawson because they believe she developed a lightspeed engine with colossal energy. She must stop them before they become unstoppable. Nick takes her to the joint NASA and US Air Force Project Pegasus facility in Nevada. Security detains them, but he uses his tape skill to get them out, and they head to the records room, where Vera blasts the door open. Along the way, they encounter a cat named Goose, and he pets it. There, they discover Lawson's plans for the lightspeed engine, but the project was shut down. Nick theorizes she is crazy because of her strange writings. However, Vera recognizes them as Kree glyphs, realizing Lawson is a Kree. However, Nick tells her Lawson is dead, as is the unidentified pilot who was with her on an unauthorized test flight with the experimental lightspeed engine 6 years ago. The last person to see them alive was another pilot, Maria Rambeau. Vera recognizes Lawson as the woman killed in her nightmares. She is then shocked to discover in one of the photos that she is the presumed dead fighter pilot. Later, she contacts Yanrog, who confirms that Lawson is Kree. He tells her she was a Kree undercover agent named Marvell. She was experimenting with technology that could help the Kree win the war. Vera tells him she found evidence that she had a life on Earth and that Lawson is who she sees as the supreme intelligence. He insists her memories may have been manipulated by the Skrulls and urges her not to let her emotions cloud her judgment. He says they will find out soon, as they are approaching her location. Meanwhile, Nick reports his location to Keller, and a group of agents led by Keller arrives, including Phil. Keller calls him Nicholas. He quickly realizes Keller is a Skrull imposter and is now being hunted along with Vera. Keller reveals himself as Talos, but Vera arrives and pushes him away. They soon encounter Phil, who allows the two to escape. They hijack the quadjet to escape and see that Goose is a stowaway. Motivated to seek answers from Maria, the last person to see Vera and Lawson alive, they fly to her residence in New Orleans, Louisiana. They arrive at the residence, and Maria Rambeau and her daughter, Monica, are surprised to see Vera still alive. They tell her that her real name is Carol Danvers, that she was like family to them, and they thought she died with Lawson. Vera explains what happened to her and what she remembers while Monica hands her a box of old things. Its contents are mainly photos of her past self that Vera is trying to remember. She sees a piece of her old identification, which partially shows Carol Dan Dash. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door, but it is just the neighbor wanting to check out the jet Nick and Vera arrived in. Vera insists they are Skrulls, but Maria tells her neighbor it is not a good time and closes the door. Suddenly, Talos appears inside her residence and negotiates a temporary alliance while Norex impersonates Maria, distracting Monica outside. Talos then reveals he has the black box recording of the plane crash and asks for help decoding some coordinates. He is startled by Goose and insists it is not a cat but a flurkin. Listening to the black box recording makes Ver remember what happened on the flight. An alien spaceship attacked them, causing her and Lawson to crash into a small peninsula on Earth. She exits the jet and helps Lawson out. However, she notices the doctor is bleeding blue blood, leading her to reveal her real name is Marvel, and she is from a planet called Hala. She tries to get up, attempting to destroy the energy core to keep it away from the Kree, but before she can, Yanrog shoots and kills her. He claims to have discovered Marvel's deception and alliance with the Skrulls. Yanrog emerges from behind the dense smoke and tells Ver they won't hurt her, saying they only need the core. Seeing that Marvel died protecting the special engine, she shoots the core. Attempting to destroy it, Ver acquires cosmic abilities after her body absorbs the energy from the exploding engine but loses her memory. Yanrog realizes this and decides to take her with them to Hala. Talos explains that the Kree deceived her. The Skrulls are homeless refugees constantly fleeing from the Kree and on the brink of extinction. The core Marvel found would have powered a lightspeed ship capable of taking the Skrulls to safety, a new home where the Kree cannot reach them. Talos explains that the core she destroyed was only the engine. If she helps decode the coordinates, they can find the core. That night, they discover the coordinates lead to the laboratory orbiting Earth in space. Norix modified their quadjet to reach space. Meanwhile, Ver resumes her name as Carol and convinces Maria to be her co-pilot for the journey. Later, she asks Monica to change the colors of her uniform to blue, red, and yellow, referencing her old US Air Force shirt. The next day, Yanrog arrives on Earth to confront Ver. However, he quickly realizes the Ver he has been communicating with is a Skrull and executes it immediately. He contacts Ronan and tells him the Skrulls have infiltrated Earth and to come immediately to eradicate the Skrulls. Later, Ver, Nick, Talos, Maria, and Goose take the now modified jet to Marvel's camouflage laboratory, an Imperial Kree cruiser. Inside, Ver finds the Tesseract, the energy source of the core, which they place in a lunchbox for safekeeping. Talos makes a strange call, and the remaining Kree refugees emerge from hiding, and he reunites with his wife and daughter. He tells Ver that thousands of them are scattered across the galaxy and asks for her help to reunite them. Suddenly, the Starforce ambushes them, and Ver confronts Yanrog about the lies. He activates the implant inhibiting her powers, but she still tries to fight him. Unfortunately, she is knocked out and put into induced electric hypnosis to face the Supreme Intelligence while taking her friends and the remaining Kree as prisoners. They confiscate the lunchbox containing the Tesseract and Cage Goose, as he poses a significant threat as a Flurkin. Under stasis, she tries to escape by fighting the Supreme Intelligence. She insists the Kree turned her into what she is now, as Ver. But she is not swayed, so she stands up and proclaims her real name as Carol. She resists the Intelligence's power over her. She destroys the Kree implant, allowing her powers to reach their full potential. She then knocks out the guards, and her powerful blast frees the Skrulls and her friends. She takes the lunchbox and tells Nick to get the Tesseract, but Goose swallows it before he can. Seeing this, Nick and Maria are shocked but finally accept that Goose is a Flurkin, and Ver tells them to take the Skrulls and Flurkin while she buys them time. In a battle for the lunchbox that Ver claims contains the Tesseract, she traps the Starforce under some debris. She knocks out Bronchar and blasts the Kree soldiers. She dodges Minerva's attack and counters, taking her down. Boreth and Atlas try to surprise her, but she knocks them out again. Yanrog manages to free himself from the debris and fights her alone. Then he realizes the lunchbox doesn't have the Tesseract and runs to the hangar for the Skrulls while Bronchar and Boreth fight her, and she quickly knocks them out again. When Maria and Nick make their way to the quad jet, several Kree soldiers stop them, but Goose immediately swallows them. Later, they face two more Kree soldiers. Nick tries to get Goose to eat them, but he doesn't, so they give up. The Kree soldiers take them to the hangar, where they will take off into space, but one of the soldiers tells Nick to keep calm, revealing himself as Talos. He also asks about the Tesseract's whereabouts, and Nick tells him the Flurkin kitten swallowed it. The Skrulls are about to escape in the quadjet with Maria and Nick, but in the process, Talos is shot by Yanrog, rendering him inoperative to fight. Maria destroys the Kree ship, causing an explosion that blocks the exit. After the quadjet departs, Yanrog contacts Minerva to shoot them down in a descent ship, so she quickly flies to pursue the quadjet. Yanrog tries to escape in another small ship, but Ver clings to him, and then, entering Earth's atmosphere, he shoots her, making her let go. As she fights in free fall, she controls her powers and flies to safety. Minerva intercepts the quad jet to the Mojave Desert. Still, Maria avoids her due to her successful piloting skills and takes her down. Jan Rog arrives and shoots at them, but Ver appears and takes down his ship. Suddenly, Ronan the Accuser arrives and orders the launch of ballistic warheads. Ver stops one of them and throws it back at the other missiles, causing a chain reaction and destroying all the launched missiles. Then, Ronan realizes it's not Earth's defense system but Ver. He orders his men to take her down. She easily avoids and destroys the smaller ships and then destroys one of Ronan's warships. Seeing the immense power of Ver, the enemy and his entire squad have no choice but to retreat. Ver returns to Earth and lands near Jan Rog, who challenges her to a duel. Still, she instantly incapacitates him with a photon blast. She sends him back to Hala with a warning to the Supreme Intelligence, declaring that she will come to her and end it all. Meanwhile, in the quad jet, Nick pets Goose because he saved them. With his guard down, Goose scratches and accidentally blinds his left eye. The Skrulls find temporary shelter at the Rambo residence, where Talos begins to recover from his injuries. Ver says she will help them find a home and complete what Mar-Vell started. Before leaving Earth with the Skrulls, she tells Nick to keep the Tesseract hidden on Earth. She hands him a modified communicator to call her wherever she is in space in case of emergency. Then Monica gives her the leather jacket she left for her some time ago, so Ver says goodbye to her and Maria and leads the ship with the Skrulls. The movie ends a little later when Nick develops the Protective Initiative to locate heroes like Ver. He discovers her Air Force codename is Avenger, and he renames it to Avengers Initiative in her honor. Later, Goose climbs onto Nick's desk and spits out the Tesseract. In the post-credits scene, Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, and James Rhodes observe the communicator that Nick activated before leaving. Suddenly, Ver appears before them and demands to know Nick's whereabouts.